In this video, we'll be taking a look at the top 100 Minecraft mods of all time. 100 groundbreaking mods that have amazing nostalgia factor, mods that were innovating for their time or added some crazy brand new features that were never before seen. Let's jump into the top 100 Minecraft mods of all time. Let's begin. Optifine. Optifine is a mod that completely changed how Minecraft is played in terms of the graphical side of things. It adds complete support for HD textures with higher resolutions, a tool that mostly replaced the originally popular MC Patcher tool back in the older days of Minecraft. Not only does this mod assist in enhanced graphical fidelity through the fine-tuning of graphics with new graphical video settings options and support for HD shader packs like path tracing ones such as Sonic Ether's Unbelievable Shaders, it also assists in improving FPS values and upgrading performance for players with lesser grade hardware. Optifine also features certain technology which includes shader support, dynamic lighting, variable render distance, performance improving VSync, configurable smooth lighting, anisotropic filtering, anti-aliasing, better grass and snow, clear transparent water with better visibility, randomized mob support for texture packs for better variation, custom skyboxes, Optifine CTM, aka the connected textures for improved blending of side-by-side blocks, and block animations. Optifine is certainly one of those revolutionary mods that needed a feature for a multitude of reasons. Mo Creatures. Sure, we're spoiled for choice nowadays with the amount of mods adding more animals to the game, but back when it was released, Mo Creatures by Dr. Zark was a legendary mod, coming with the custom mob spawner mod for better spawning parameters and configuration. Mo Creatures was one of the first high quality Minecraft mods adding creatures that had very high quality models, ones that particularly looked extremely good, but also ones that blended into the vanilla style and look. This mod brings over 40 new mobs to the game, providing new additions to the rosters of both animals and monsters, with the ability to tame and ride many of them. There's so many awesome creatures in this mod, and it's super nostalgic to play with, from Komodo dragons, crabs, wyverns, raccoons, snails, scorpions, deer, rats, sharks, and even ogres. There's countless mobs here. It's also interesting to note that many vanilla Minecraft creatures now in the base game were featured in Mo Creatures before they were added officially, such as the dolphins, foxes, wolves, turtles, and the horses, which I believe were heavily inspired by Mo Creatures horses. Too many items. Nowadays, the majority of people use just enough items for recipe viewing and the easy spawning of items. However, many new players never experienced one of the original inventory editor style mods, Too Many Items. There's been a lot of these style of mods over the years, but Too Many Items by Marglyph was the one that inspired the majority. This mod allowed for the creation and customization of items that weren't available in creative mode, as well as the saving and loading of different inventory orders, the ability to change time and weather on demand, and switch game modes, a revolutionary mod of its time which just wasn't really available back then. In some of the later updates of Too Many Items, there was an item editor that was added. This let you create custom coloured items such as coloured leather, player heads, signs with text spawned on them, pre-selected note blocks, and more, as well as some custom items with enchantments and custom names already applied to them based on the settings which you entered. Flan's Mod. Flan's Mod is the ultimate modern combat conversion for Minecraft. This vast mod introduces features such as planes, tanks, cards, guns, nades, and other weapons, supported by a content pack system, meaning there's so many community packs that add new material to the mod. Flan's Mods was legendary back in the day, the first time that you could swoop around with warplanes through the skies. The great thing about Flan's is that it has great multiplayer support and it functions exactly the same online, making for opportunities to make war servers with TDM or capture the flag modes. The website has pages for custom maps that you can play the mod on, as well as the content packs, which include themes like modern weaponry, 1940s style content, civilian vehicles, Titan mechs, and so much more. This mod is so extendable that it just had to take a place in the top mods of all time. Millenaire. Millenaire is the original NPC villagers mod, a solution for populating the world with AI-based inhabitants with useful behaviour. Millenaire was created with the aim to make empty feeling worlds feel more alive and buzzing by adding NPC villagers which are 11th century themed with cultures such as Norman, North Indian, Mayan, Japanese, Byzantine, Inuit, and Seljuk Turks. The mod has multicultural villagers which are populated with men and women as well as children, citizens that can actually perform tasks in real time such as collecting items and working, like cutting down trees or crafting and cultivating crops. The villages expand over time and so does the number of its villagers, as the couples have children which then grow up. You can assist assist in the growth of villagers by trading with them, rewarding you with items like special foods or cultural pieces such as tapestries. If your reputation with a village meets their standards, they might even build you a house to live there. The Twilight Forest. I would go as far as to say that the Twilight Forest, along with the Aether, is likely the best dimension mod. The Twilight Forest is an enchanted and magical world, one that you can reach by creating a pool of water in the grass which is surrounded by flowers, and then you throw a diamond into the center. This dimension mod focuses upon adventure, and there's countless weird and wonderful creatures which inhabit this world. You can tackle tough dungeons, obtain many special items, each with unique traits and abilities, and the best part, fight many bosses that have elaborate mechanics and abilities. I love the progression system in Twilight Forest. It has an attunement system which is similar to old school WoW, in which to access a certain boss, you must first defeat the previous boss to unlock that fight, and reading up on the boss's abilities and mechanics beforehand can lend to a higher success rate in actually defeating them. Each of the bosses spawn in their own special localized structures which you can find in specific biomes in the new dimension. Advent of Ascension. The AOA mod is a very high quality dimension mod that adds over 25 plus new dimensions, 330 plus new mobs, 27 new bosses, 600 plus items and more, with new skills as well as a quest system. Each and every world within this mod is different, and it has a completely alternative look and feel to it, filled with equally fresh mobs and flora. This is one of those RPG mods with a ton of dimensions, a popular theme in Minecraft modding back in the day. It's a massive adventure and exploration mod with so much content to do that it'll be hard to get bored here. You'll need to travel to dimensions and progress through them to unlock the next, and challenge their bosses for their unique loot and rewards. The 15 new skills in game will offer various bonuses and rewards, and leveling up will unlock these new abilities. As you progress and get stronger, you can acquire new armor and weapons and build up your arsenal. Portal Gun. As a big fan of Valve games, I found the Portal Gun mod by iChun to be super cool. It adds many elements from the Portal games into Minecraft, including but not limited to the Portal Gun itself, and if you pair it with one of the community companion mods, you can find weighted companion cubes, turrets, buttons and beams. The Portal Gun is super fun to mess around with in Minecraft, letting you use it in multiple different colours, with portals corresponding to these colours too. As with the original game, you can just make an entry and exit portal with the mouse buttons to shift location and teleport, with the R key wiping out the portals which you place down. The Portal Gun also has a gravity gun style feature to it, letting you use the G key to lift both blocks and mobs in the air in stasis. Pixelmon. Everyone loves Pokemon, especially if you're a 90s kid, but what about Pokemon and Minecraft being blended together into one game? Well, then you get the mod Pixelmon, a near full conversion of Minecraft adding content from Pokemon. If you ever wanted to experience Pokemon in 3D in a Minecraft style, this mod is probably your best bet, and it's best played when installed with the Pixelmon mod pack or via the Pixelmon Generations mod, a much more touched up and updated version of it. With Pixelmon, you have access to battling, trading and breeding in Minecraft, with a collection of new items such as Pokeballs which can actually capture the Pokemon in the wild, but also decoration blocks too to make Pokemon style buildings and structures. The battle mechanics in this mod are inspired mainly by the Pokemon Generation 8 games. Pokemon spawn naturally throughout Minecraft's overworld, meaning there's no random encounter mechanic for discovering Pokemon as you'll find in the original games. You can visit Pokemarts that spawn within towns to acquire Pokeballs, or you can also craft them. With NPC trainers, gym leaders and other features here too, this mod is just amazing. Superheroes Unlimited. With this mod you can suit up and become a superhero with lightning fast reflexes, super strength, utilities and gadgets, and hero suits. This mod has a nice selection of different superheroes from both the Marvel and DC universes, from comics, movies and TV shows. You can craft suits and fight bosses and travel on journeys in the game as your brand new character. If you want to be insanely overpowered for a Minecraft character, then check out this mod. It includes some of the following popular heroes, like the Flash, Batman, Superman, Deadpool, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Black Panther, Star-Lord, and others. But it doesn't stop there, as there's actually a huge list of villain characters. This includes the likes of the Joker, Loki, and Zoom to name a few. Biomes O Plenty. This expansive biome mod is the most popular mod, adding brand new biomes to Minecraft, and for good reason. It adds a large extensive collection of new and unique biomes with support for both the overworld and the nether in Minecraft, all equipped with some new plants, flowers, trees and flora flora, and some building blocks. Biomes O Plenty has some beautiful new biomes, from the cherry blossom groves to the lavender fields and the pumpkin patch forests. There's over 90 different biomes to explore that generate in the world with this mod, coming with its own generator profile for the world generator option when creating a brand new world. My favourite biome, one that was much needed before the 1.18 Caves and Cliffs update, is the Alps biome, adding giant large snowy peaks and mountains to the world, or Crag, which adds split peaks with gravel and patches of grass scattered throughout. This mod definitely is an enhancement which is a must-have for a more realistic world. Clay Soldiers mod. The Clay Soldiers mod adds items in game which are held by the player. Clay soldiers that are crafted using soul sand and clay blocks, which can be sneak right-clicked or right-clicked to place full stacks down. These clay soldiers spread out and scatter, roaming the landscape. Each type of soldier functions differently, with soldiers having a slower walk speed and lower jump height, but can climb up full blocks, although they are also quite weak. You can craft different colour teams for clay soldiers, which are based off of the original 16 die colours, meaning different teams will fight each other as they are theoretically on opposing sides. The cool thing about this old school mod is that the clay soldiers can also saddle up and ride a variety of mounts and hold different upgrades and equipment or arms to go into battle with. Mutant Creatures. If normal standard Minecraft monsters at night weren't spooky enough, then these giant monstrosities will definitely be buff enough. This legendary mod adds different creatures to the game, more specifically mutant versions of many of the vanilla mobs that bring a greater challenge when fighting the player, being far tougher but also coming with better drops as rewards. Each new mutant creature has new abilities and physical traits, and they have more powerful attacks than their weaker vanilla counterparts. Using the chemical X potion, you can throw it to kill or cause a mutation in a vanilla mob to buff it up into the new stronger version. There's mutant creepers that pack more of a punch in their explosions and have more appendages. Mutant skeletons that can jump in midair and do trick shots and looking far more sinister with their large jaws. Mutant snowmen that throw giant blocks of ice and litter the floor below them with snow. Mutant endermen that run far faster and can summon other enderman visagers. And the huge mutant zombie that hits like a truck and can jump super high in the sky and smash down upon you. There are also some fun smaller mobs in here too, like the spider pig, which is a reference to the Simpsons movie. Mr. Crayfish's furniture mod. The Mr. Crayfish's furniture mod was a pretty huge mod of its time. There are a few other furniture mods and some that came before it, but in terms of quality, I think this is the best. This mod brings over 40 different new and unique furniture pieces, which can be used for interior design and decoration for living rooms, bedrooms and bathrooms, or gardens. And it's a great fix for furniture being missing in Minecraft, as the game has always been great for building, but slightly lackluster for decorating. With everything from chairs, tables, cabinets, curtains, new foods and more, this mod is really useful for modern style builds. The thing I like though about this mod is that many of the blocks are interactable or have a purpose. For an example, the shower head turns on and creates particles and sounds. The toaster can be used, the fridge and certain tables can have items stored within them, and the oven actually cooks foods and is useful, meaning not only does this mod have high quality modelled blocks, but they also serve a functional purpose too. With thousands of hours of time put in across a 4 to 5 month period in development from a collaboration effort, the Aether is an amazing dimension mod that adds a brand new dimension high up in the sky, being basically the opposite of the hell world, the Nether, being a heaven-like world that consists of floating islands and structures. With a portal frame made of glowstone and illuminated by poured water, you can reach the Aether, a vibrant world full of both neutral and hostile mobs, with a lot to do. The world has many different mysterious dungeon structures in the style of Greek architecture, many that can be explored in order to find loot within. There's the bronze, silver and gold dungeon, from best to worst in terms of their loot and rarity, and also their difficulty level. Of course, each of these 3 dungeon houses an endpoint boss that's difficult to defeat and has nice drops for the player. The Aether is an absolute legendary mod, one that so many people know, especially people who haven't even tried mods before for the game. The Dalek Mod. For fans of Doctor Who, the Dalek Mod is a large-scale mod aiming to bring much of the content from the BBC franchise into Minecraft, letting you travel through the world in a fully functional TARDIS time machine, which you can use to explore many different planets in the solar system and come against many tough foes like the Cybermen and the Daleks themselves. You can use sonic screwdrivers in this mod and find new ores in space, as well as also make your very own TARDIS. The TARDIS has many different alternative outside disguises and colours that can be be customized, and it works when fueled with fluid link levels, which must be maintained and operated by the controls within the console room. There's also boss mobs like the Cyber Controller and Dalek Emperor, which are super tough, large-scale mobs that look amazing. The pure effort in the 3D design and programming in this mod is really impressive. I particularly like the sonic screwdriver's abilities, which let you perform multiple functions such as activating doors and lights, activating TNT blocks, tilling farmland, and using dispensers for an example. Ars Magica 2. This mod is all about casting powerful spells to fight tough bosses and have fun with an all-new magical system which is built upon a spell creation set of mechanics, which lets you create any custom spell that you can imagine. Using a pool of liquid Ethereum and an item frame closely with a book, you will receive a guidebook called the Arcane Compendium that describes all items, structures, bosses and features which are important to the mod. The cost and power of created spells are based upon the player's current casting mode. There are also some magical style mobs added to the world. Some are elemental guardians, which are bosses, dark mages and elemental hostile mobs, as well as some peaceful magical mobs like mages and dryads. The mod works with an experience system through magical levels, which are used for the leveling up process to gain more skill points to discover new spells. Experience is granted each time one of these spells is successfully casted. Herobrine Mod. Everyone remembers the Herobrine Mod, perhaps the best horror mod for Minecraft, based entirely off of the creepypasta character and its story of the same name, one of Minecraft's greatest legends and mysteries. The Herobrine mod lets you place a totem multi-block structure which is comprised of gold blocks, a totem block and a lit piece of netherrack, which when lit causes the face's eyes to turn from white to red on the totem piece in order to signify the ritual's completion. This mod lets you summon Herobrine and all of the deadly events and occurrences that come along with his torment into your world. Sometimes Herobrine will rarely spawn and attack you, or build strange structures like placing down small pyramids and altars, summoning white-eyed evil mobs like chickens and cows, or even armies of zombies. He will also grief houses or set the player on fire with lava for an example. This is an amazing mod that I personally love to prank my friends with way back in the day. More creeps and weirdos. This old school mod is a really fun and nostalgic one, a mod that definitely doesn't take itself too seriously. More Creeps and Weirdos is a mod that adds exactly the type of new mobs that you'd expect from its title. The mod adds multiple different mobs, items and achievements. There are some passive mobs and some aggressive ones, but you can be sure that each and every one is pretty strange in their own right. There's everything from innocent looking old grannies to sinister giant big baby bosses that are angry, evil mummies, giant radioactive swimsuit zombies, huge robots, the lawyers from hell, hunchbacks, and much more weird and wonderful ones. This mod is kind of crazy, and if you want to survive or play a semi-normal survival experience, I probably wouldn't recommend this one. Lord of the Rings Mod. This huge expansion mod introduces the world of Middle-earth from the books of J.R.R. Tolkien into Minecraft. This mod brings content from the Lord of the Rings franchise and The Hobbit into the game, and it's a really spectacular mod. Everything in the mod can be accessed by reaching the Middle-earth dimension, which is seen by talking to Gandalf and entering the Golden Ring portal. The new world features over 100 new biomes, which include their sub-biomes and biome variants, which have brand new structures and resources rich within. There are different dungeons to tackle, some which function as their own dimension. The world is full of the different Middle-earth races, everything from elves to orcs, humans, hobbits and dwarfs. Your actions will improve or harm your reputation with factions in this mod, which is based on its alignment system. You can also trade with many townspeople or hire them as your own units or mercenaries to help fight for you, and there's a lot of randomly generated mini quests along the way, which makes things a little bit more eventful. Fossils and Archaeology. This historical mod brings a collection of different mobs into the game, bringing dinosaurs back to life through a series of processes, from discovering their bones to extracting their DNA, creating embryos from them, and then hatchable eggs. Other prehistoric creatures like dodos and woolly mammoths or terror birds are present in here too, making Minecraft a more historical experience in a different age of time. From the depths of the world, you can retrieve creatures lost in time within Amber, discover different ruins and relics, and discover different creatures never before seen in Minecraft. There's a lot of mobs in here. The Archaeologist Villager is also a new addition to NPC villagers that's particularly useful. But outside of this, you can spawn such an immense collection of prehistoric dinos and creatures that's extremely satisfying to play with. If you want to create your very own Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, you can do that with this mod. Security Craft. If you feel as if your base is just not secure enough and want to fend off enemy players or mobs, Security Craft is probably the best mod to be used as a solution for this, as it adds new content to the game to secure your bases with that can keep out creepers and other unwanted guests. There's everything in this mod from security cameras with full movement controls, which can be switched between on a monitor, to eye retinal scanners or keypad coded doors to gain entry to bases. You can also use a series of explosives such as mines and charges, which are activated on contact, making the perimeter of your base particularly dangerous. Equivalent Exchange. This mod takes inspiration from the anime Full Metal Alchemist, and it's based entirely off the idea of transmutation and alchemy, with different solutions to allow for the transmutation of items and to perform alchemical processes. The name of the mod basically means something cannot be created by nothing, so in order to obtain something, something else of equal value must be lost, which is why to duplicate items, you must burn other existing items through the mod's EMC energy system in order to create a new. This mod features the condenser, which can be used to burn up unwanted or rarer items for EMC in order to use it as energy to duplicate valuables. There's also the transmutation table to directly transmute items into others. I personally like the very powerful armor sets in game, which are made from dark matter and red matter. At the end game experience of the mod, you can upgrade red matter into gemstone armor, which makes you extremely powerful and near indestructible. Aliens vs Predator. This mod, based off the movies of the same name, brings the science fiction horror, alien xenomorph, and predator creatures into Minecraft, along with content from the movie Prometheus. There's a larger number of brand new types of weaponry and items, as well as many new mobs in here and dimensional content. The fine attention to detail when modeling and texturing these alien life forms is present when looking at how good the mobs look in this mod, with a great number of different aliens in here. You can take on any role which you desire. For an example, you can be a marine and use a pulse rifle and nades to fight off the enemy aliens, be a predator by suiting up in their armor and using their weapons to hunt down aliens, and so much more. It's pretty terrifying to play with this mod, especially if you're in survival mode, as the aliens are super menacing and tough to face, so buckle up for the ride of your life. Galacticraft. Galacticraft is a revolutionary mod, the first of its kind, the original mod that lets you travel to space to access new planets in outer space within the solar system, through using your very own spaceship that you can craft and upgrade. There are dungeons on other planets such as on the Moon and on Mars. These have special alien mobs on them, and you can even build your own space station with friends within space. There's a great deal of progression and steps to work up to having a space base and reaching the certain planets, but the great thing about Galacticraft is just how extendable it is, meaning you can download many add-on mods and attachments by other creators which will add new planets and rocket types into the mod to make it much more feature-rich. Assassincraft. Based entirely off Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed games, this legendary Minecraft mod brings features in the form of equipment, weapons and armor, and cloaks from the games into Minecraft. There's some awesome weapons in this mod. For an example, there's a throwable tomahawk, a retractable hidden blade to take out mobs with one hit from behind, a hidden gun that's retractable and is a one-shot weapon, a hook blade that lets you climb onto blocks, as well as many other special swords and weapons like crossbows and daggers. There's many different mobs and enemies that you can spawn, like different knights and templars, as well as a great deal of different assassin cloaks, such as those of Ezio and Altair, that the player can wear to dress the part and shroud their identity. Elemental Creepers. This mod offers 10 plus brand new creeper types that spawn in the world, with some new and different effects. Creepers that come with configurable spawn rates, radius of their explosion, and the ability to spawn them each individually. When you slay each of the different creepers, you will also obtain a gunpowder item, which is based off of their element. You can then use this to craft TNTs, or to revert it into standard gunpowder. Each of the creepers in the mod are unique in their own right. For an example, water creepers will explode into water fountains. Fire creepers creepers spread fire upon dying, earth creepers create a mess of dirt, air creepers launch you high up into the air, electric creepers spawn a lightning strike to charge surrounding creepers on their death, light creepers create glowstone and they give the glowing effect, and ice creepers will leave a trail of snow and give you slowness. There's also the magma, hydrogen, reverse, minor, illusion, firework, cookie and rainbow creeper types, each with their own respective effects also. Lycanites Mobs. Lycanites Mobs adds many new biome and dimension specific monsters and creatures to the world, with most of them being hostile ones and some being able to be tamed, used as mounts, summoned as bodyguards, or bred for special food items. There are also configurable deadly world events that spawn swarms of deadly mobs from the mod, and hazards to accompany them. You may be familiar with Lycanites Mobs from the popular Craft mod pack, in which the rocks and the other flying creatures in here are part of the progression stages to be used as mounts. These mobs come in a 3D style with many polygons or voxels, meaning they are far more less blocky and detailed than most of the Minecraft mobs, which is sometimes out of certain people's tastes, but you can get special resource packs to make them more Minecraft looking if you want the mod to be more in line with the original game's house style. Mousy's Mobs. One of the more popular modern boss mods, Mousy's Mobs adds a variety of fictional creatures and bosses to the game, being very unique mainly due to the very unique AI behavior sets that the mobs utilize, as well as their high quality animations. The bosses in this mod are themed differently, as appropriate to the biomes which you'll actually find them within. The skills and abilities that the bosses use are unique, in the sense that you can dodge or counter them just like in an RPG game, making the mod pair super well with mobility or combat mods that will change how the game is played. From the animated set of armor, the Ferris Wroughnaut protecting its underground domain, to Barakoa the Sun Chief commanding his tribal minions with the power of the sun, to the deadly Ice Yeti Frostmaw. There's a ton of wonderful bosses in this mod that are amazingly high quality and super fun to fight. Ice and Fire. Perhaps one of my favourite RPG style mods, Ice and Fire is a mod all about dragons who roamed the lands for hundreds of years. If you want to become a fierce hero that has the ability to slay such dragons, Ice and Fire is your best bet. This mod gives you a dragon slaying experience, similar to that of Skyrim, with ice, fire and lightning dragons being present as the tough bosses to fight. Each of the dragons in this mod will spawn in different areas as per their natural habitat, and they can also be tamed and mounted. There's also Naga, Gorgons and other mythical beasts of mythology in the mod. My personal favourite feature is the dragon scale armour, which you can craft from the scales obtained from slaying dragons, as well as the dragon bone weapons too, which perfectly pair together and make you feel really overpowered. Atomic Strikers Battle Towers. Regarded as the original Battle Towers mod, this dungeon crawling mod is a classic. The mod adds a wide range of different types of tower structures which spawn across the various biomes in Minecraft, meaning you'll see sand, ice and water towers for an example, depending on the ground that they each spawn upon. The towers have a series of different floors with mob spawners on each, getting tougher the higher that you go as you crawl up the staircases in an attempt to reach the top. Each segment also has a chest full of loot too, making them particularly lucrative to explore and plunder. At the top of the towers you can expect to face a golem boss, a boss that is slower and can be avoided with some trickery, but who will shoot fireballs and stomp and destroy blocks to try to take you out. If you defeat the golem however, you have limited time to take all of the loot as the tower will begin to crumble and destroy itself, starting from the top segment. Number 2, Terra Firma Craft. This legendary mod is a total conversion of the core game and its base fundamentals, being developed with the concept of bringing an experience emulating what survival mode should have been. The mod aims to make surviving in the harsh world of Minecraft more believable, and it also offers more of a sense of accomplishment to the player. In this mod you will master skills, gather materials in a more long-winded process, with more stages of development and crafting, and experience a much more beautiful terrain generation system with different layers of earth and sediment. The world's sea level has been raised to twice its original height in this mod. This is to support the 3 new stone type layers, each that spawn their own respective ore and minerals in between. On the world's surface you'll also notice there are new tree types, stones and large boulders. When you gather flowers, saplings or break grass, it will slowly grow back over time, a cycle which is affected by its surrounding temperature. There's also a built-in season system which will change how the colour of the foliage will appear here. You will begin in the Stone Age, where primitive tools that take long periods to craft is normal, and then onto the Casting Age as you'll create pottery and copper and bronze tools and prospector gear. The final stage is the Iron Age, which consists of using iron tools and creating multicolored metal alloys and mastering the smithing system using more rarer resources. Vein Miner. The Vein Miner mod was absolutely revolutionary for mining. This mod is a simple utility that makes mining less frustrating and time consuming by adding a mechanic that allows for all of the same types of blocks to be mined in one action in a chain reaction, dropping them all as resources at the end of the process. You can set personal settings in the config and change the hotkey to make it more optimal. This is really nice as it also helps you mine any ore blocks that you may have missed, and it makes gathering iron and coal especially far easier because the veins of those are a lot bigger than some of the other ores which are less common. Partseed Star Wars Galaxies. Originally known as Partseed Star Wars mod, the Galaxies mod for Minecraft is perhaps one of the most, if not the most, extensive Star Wars mod. The Galaxies mod is the newer version in active development, although for more features you can play the older version. This mod has dozens of unique locations and planets, customizable weaponry and starships, mobs and NPCs with dynamic AI behavior, and more awesome mechanics. The mod bases its materials off of the movies, but also the expanded universe content from fan material and the novel books. There's a beautiful looking Mos Eisley city on the planet of Tatooine. You can visit this if you want an adventure. You can also travel to the snowy planet of Hoth if you want to relive the Rogue Squadron Snowspeeder action or run into Imperial spy droids. There's a really nice range of rideable mounts and flyable spaceships here. Some of my favourites are the Imperial Scout Speeders from Endor, the Tatooine Land Speeders that Luke and Obi-Wan ride in the movies, or the Hoth Tauntaun creatures which you can saddle up and ride upon. Of course, you can't talk about this mod though without mentioning the lightsabers and the lightsaber system, which is the most crucial and awesome component of the mod. The Crafting Dead. The original Minecraft Zombie Overhaul mod. The Crafting Dead was originally built upon one of the first Minecraft gun mods, and it kept expanding ever since. The mod is loosely based upon and inspired by the Walking Dead series, and it pits the player against a multitude of waves of zombies, letting you use cosmetics and medical supplies and weaponry along the way in a bid to survive the apocalypse. The guns in this mod pack are fully customizable, and they have their own attachment system as well as camo paints with a recoil system and accurate hit detection. You'll run into both PvE situations and PvP combat situations when traversing the wilderness, so it's extra important that you come equipped and prepared. Tech Guns. This highly regarded mod is one of my favourite Minecraft weapon mods. Utilising 3D modelled weapons with muzzle flashes, support for both first and third person viewpoints, and coming with recoil and reload animations, this is a really awesome and functional mod. There's also an armour system that lets you equip pieces of gear like gliders, jetpacks and armours, each with their own skins and 3D models, giving the player more mobility, protection or similar bonuses. It's the range of different weapons in this mod that make it so great, many having different purposes and applications or damage outputs. There's everything from ore drills and shotguns to magnums, bazookas, flamethrowers, long-range rifles, ARs, and everything tech and sci-fi based that you can imagine. This can be used to slay armies of zombies or those unsuspecting villagers. The Between Lands. For dimension mods, the Between Lands is definitely up there with the best. It's a spooky dimension offering a whole host of challenging content. This dark and mysterious world is full of strange and wonderful monstrous abnormalities that roam the fog and decay-ridden lands. Offering hours of gameplay, there's so many unique creatures in this mod across its many different unique biomes. For structures, you can expect to have many to explore that house a ton of loot. There's many interesting features like a herb lore system which supports the custom farming system, which adds several new crop types to the game. Exploring is also super immersive in this mod too, as the accompanying sounds, ambience tracks and music playing in the background makes for increased emotional feeling when playing. Tools corrode, foods give you sickness, the player decays, and there's some unique shaders here too. Terraria Craft. Terraria is arguably one of the greatest games of all time and the most that's likened to Minecraft style. Imagine what Terraria in 3D would look like. Now imagine that in Minecraft and you basically get this mod. This mod adds a huge diverse range of Terraria content into Minecraft. Everything from the armor, tools, weapons, and mobs and creatures. The worlds are completely overhauled now with the new custom terrain generation, making for much larger and deeper caves to explore with suitable features and new mechanics to support them. biome. The world is now finite, full of new and different biomes and resources to collect. The mod definitely feels like Terraria as it utilizes many of its textures and materials, or ones which are remade in its similar style, with music and ambience from the game to make it very realistic and more believable. Roguelike Dungeons. For new challenges to tackle, check out this mod. Roguelike Dungeons adds new large underground dungeon structures, long procedurally generated dungeons with completely randomized layouts with equally random tables of loot to acquire from within them. Inspired by roguelike dungeon crawler titles, this mod makes for some enhanced gameplay as you can explore the new chasms that lay beneath the surface of the overworld. You must first locate the brand new dungeon tower structures which are above ground. When entered, you can then traverse down the winding staircases down below to enter a dungeon. Each of these dungeons consists of long narrow hallways, loot and farm rooms, and rooms full of mob spawners for an appropriate level of threat that you'd expect. Apoca Buckets. This mod introduces 7 brand new bucket items that you can use to unleash pure mayhem and destruction on your Minecraft world. Appropriate for having fun or for mindless chaos, for wrecking things and taunting others. There's buckets here to create large flooding bodies of water, tsunamis to swallow the surrounding lands, void to cover the terrain in a blanket of darkness, fire to set ablaze the grass in green demonic flames, black holes to swallow and suck everything in its radius, toxic water that kills players and turns anything else living into zombies, freezing water that turns blocks into ice and packed ice, and also white and purple paint which paint the world in pretty colours. Item 2. This mod introduces an all new dimension to explore which consists of 9 separate and unique biomes housing different structures, from dungeons to ruins and even pyramids. There are 11 new mobs to face on your adventure, which include 5 new animal types which can be hunted or tamed. For some special items, don't overlook the 35 or more artifacts which are hidden throughout. These have special abilities built into them which aid you in certain situations, making you stronger from potion effects. The endgame boss type you should work to defeat here is the powerful Pharaoh that has multiple variants which you can fight. The portal to reach the dimension requires you to build a pool of water, ideally surrounded by sandstone blocks. Then you toss a golden scarab beetle item into it in order to activate the portal. Divine RPG. For an old school RPG-like experience, look to this mod. It's a revolutionary Minecraft mod introducing a series of 8 brand new dimensions, 115 all new mobs, and hundreds of new and special items and block types that include dozens of new armor and weapon sets to utilize. This mod is more of a total conversion as it's one of those classic RPG mods that introduces a progression system spanning multiple dimensions. For fans of Advent of Ascension, which I've also featured initially, this is the mod that came before it, spawning the mod as its spiritual successor. There's many fresh and unique dimensions, such as the Dravite Hills, which is the first dimension you'll reach, the Augite Depths, which is particularly dangerous, the frozen icy Icica dimension, which is full of snow-themed threats, the hardest dimension of Vithia, the luscious blue forest, Azurite Forest dimension, the dungeon world of Dungeon of Arcana, which feels like a dungeon crawler world, and the Mithril Mountains that features the very rare Mithril ore resource within exclusively. Each of these dimensions feature a different look and feel to them, and they house dangerous mobs and bosses to defeat of varying difficulties. Vampirism. The Vampirism mod lets you become both a vampire and a vampire slayer. You can become a fast and strong vampiric beast in this mod, having many benefits and strengths, but also many drawbacks and weaknesses. For an example, the sun will damage you and you are susceptible to certain weaponry from the Slayer's arsenal, as well as the actual Slayers themselves, which sometimes will turn up to protect a village and its villagers. You have to manually inject vampire blood or be bitten in order to gain the debuff effect. This is called Sanguinaire Vampiris, which will slowly turn you into a vampire. Alternatively, you can also join the hunter side if you want to hunt down vampires instead. Vampires in the mod feed on blood, which can be sourced from both animals and humans. You can then advance your powers using skill points, which can unlock abilities like night vision, bat transformation, and teleportation. Vampire hunters function in a similar way, using weapons like a crossbow or stakes to eliminate vampires, also being able to level up and unlock their own respective skills, including some of those of a vampire, to use their powers against them. Vampires will spawn at night or in a new foggy biome, which allows them to spawn at any time time of the day. This makes them extremely dangerous, so this is probably one of the biomes which you should be avoiding if you're not one of them. Doomlike Dungeons. This dungeon crawling mod introduces a new style of dungeons below the world that resemble the retro style from old-fashioned 2D 3D shooters like Doom, being inspired by old level generators for the game. The idea of the mod is to introduce some highly challenging and rewarding multi-room dungeon complexes that are both interesting to explore and exciting to conquer for the player. The mod's dungeons feel like the vanilla ones, but upgraded on a much higher scale, with larger pathways and obstacles, and many different styled rooms, with dungeons spawning both in the nether and the overworld, with many having different styles like frozen dungeons, nether dungeons, or oceanic dungeons. Howling Moon. If we're going to feature a vampire mod, we may as well feature a werewolf mod in the same lineup, right? Howling Moon is a mod that lets you become a werewolf. This mod lets you transform into a wolf on a full moon. To first become one, you need to be infected by being attacked by a pre-existing werewolf in a forest area during nights of the full moon. The infection will then transform the player on the first following full moon night. When you first transform, you'll gain access to a skills menu that lets you see your stats and change your transformed appearance by cycling through the various textures and models. You can then unlock various abilities to make yourself stronger and more agile. As a werewolf, there will be werewolf hunters trying to slay you. Killing them will give you various drops. There are also various items such as Wolfsbane and Silver that's a werewolf's weakness. These can be used to your advantage or to your detriment, depending on your situation and the side that you're on. Modular force field system. This is one of the greatest mods for adding an additional layer of protection over your base, allowing you to keep out both hostile mobs and players and create a place of sanctuary. The mod lets you generate force fields in-game by using redstone flux power. The force fields aren't just simple though, they provide not just security from the force field bubble or cube itself, but also from the area of defense station block that lets you fend off mobs and NPCs or players. This block will also let you perform cool useful actions, like stripping enemy players of their items and weapons when they enter the radius of your base. This would be particularly useful to hold meetings with enemy factions on a server or meeting players that you can't fully trust. You can change the size and shape of the force field in its interface to customize its radius and distance and appearance to what you wish it to be. SCP Lockdown. Based entirely off of fan material and stories from the Secure Contain Protect fandom, the SCP Lockdown mod is a mod originally recreating an older mod, SCP Craft. You can expect to unlock a large number of blocks in this mod that will allow you to build an impressive looking facility, gain access to around 50 or more useful items like night vision goggles, and also spawn nearly 80 different new and unique SCP anomalies that can be put in the containment chambers in your facility or let loose to cause some havoc in the world. There are new potion effects as well as a new tiredness system that makes you progressively less cognitive as you spend more time without sleeping. There's some really amazing community made maps with the Lockdown mod, amazing facilities built by players that are super fun to play. Dragon Mounts 2. The original purpose of this mod was to add function to the mostly useless Ender Dragon eggs in vanilla Minecraft, making them both hatchable and the new dragons from them also tameable. This mod is really amazing as it features so many different types and colours of dragons that are really fun to mess around with. If you like pet mods, you should enjoy this mod. You're basically hatching and fostering baby dragons as they grow up into the different stages and then using them as mounts to soar through the skies. You can tame them using raw fish and then they will follow and protect you just like dogs and cats. Certain eggs have different hatching environments and requirements. For an example, fire dragon eggs need to be hatched nearby lava, water eggs upon water, and snow dragons upon snow blocks, vice versa. Advanced lightsabers. For Star Wars fans, this mod is truly amazing. The mod introduces a series of different lightsabers, but it doesn't just stop there. The strength of this mod is the force power system. There are 13 different unique and upgradable abilities that you can unlock via the holocron items in game, which are found across the world. As you gain force XP alongside standard experience, you can then purchase and upgrade your force powers to become stronger and advance your general force mastery. You can utilize drain life to heal from others, shock to use force lightning, heal to repair yourself, fortify as a shield, stun, stealth to become invisible, speed to move in a more agile fashion, sight to sense nearby creatures, battle meditation to gain bonuses to melee and force abilities, lightsaber throw, energy resist to reduce incoming lightsaber damage, and also force push. There's a range of customizable lightsabers, letting you change the hilts, projectors, generators, and various other parts to customize your color and appearance of your weapon, letting you create the Darksaber or any other legendary character's saber from the movies. Along with the impressive abilities and 3D lightsabers, there's also structures. The Jedi Temple spawns in most temperate biomes, containing light force stone, which you can use to create forges, as well as chests and holocrons and lightsaber components inside. You can also find crystals for your sabers scattered around the world. These come in different styles which affect the saber's appearance. Compressed focusing crystals for Star Wars Rebels pointer sabers, cracked kyber crystals for unstable lightsabers like Kylo Ren's crossguard one, inverting focusing crystals for black inner blades like the Darksaber, and fine cut focusing crystals for a thinner sword-like blade such as the Darksaber uses also. You will also discover Sith tombs which are hidden deep below deserts, long forgotten Sith burial sites containing treasures of the lost old Sith Empire. Mine colonies. This city simulation and management mod features interactive building that lets you construct your very own town or city in the game. You can build a kingdom and manage it as a leader as you expand your colony with many different useful buildings and structures, and inhabit it with workers and citizens that help it to grow and prosper and adapt. You can build your colony in any geological location. The mod features many NPC workers. These include builders, fishers, guards, farmers, foragers, miners and smelters, bakers and cooks, mail couriers, composters, and animal herders. In an Age of Empires style fashion, you will have access to functional buildings too, which they can work inside of, like warehouses, town halls, the barracks, libraries, and universities and schools. Modular Powersuits. Tinkering with high-tech electronic components and equipment is always fun, but tinkering with it for human augmentation is even better. Using these pieces, you can create yourself a powered suit, a full suit that can be upgraded in a modular way through the augmentation tinker table. Once you've crafted the base suit itself, you then use the table to upgrade it. From here, you can add so many different useful abilities and buffs to your armor, all listed as modules. This lets you improve the battery and power system of the suit for performance and add different layers of protection and resistance, methods of movement and mobility, and so much more. Nature's Compass. An extremely underrated mod in my opinion, Nature's Compass is a utility mod that adds an item for looking up information about biomes and where they are. This is extremely useful to find a biome very quickly. Although since 1.16.5, vanilla Minecraft has some similar features built into the game. By using the compass, you can search for and then teleport to any biome, both from vanilla or from any mod that you have installed that registers new biomes into the biome index. This compass lets you sort through biomes based on different categories, and it is a very useful utility, especially for older versions of the game where you don't have the locate command that was added in the Nether update. Industrial Craft 2. My absolute favourite technology mod of all time. Industrial Craft 2 deserves a place on this list. Industrial Craft 2 is all about the automation and modernization of Minecraft through many different means, mainly machinery powered by its electricity system, which is EU power, aka energy units. Industrial Craft is the go-to mod if you have any kind of interest in resource processing, mining and ore gathering, energy generation and storage, agriculture, and industrialization of your world, with a whole host of machinery options. Through powerful generators, such as the geothermal generators, which use lava's heat for energy, standard coal-powered generators, and solar panels or solar arrays for harnessing the power of the sun, you can use a series of cables to store such energy or divert it straight into machines. With this mod, you have machinery for breaking down and grounding ore, making it into plates or cans, and duplicating it through many multi-layered stages to get more out of your resources. You can take rubber from trees using a tree tap, and then process it into rubber, or extract it with an extractor directly from wood. This mod integrates very well with many other old school factory mods like BuildCraft, which is why many of the old school mod packs like Tech It Classic worked so well. Cosmetic Armor Reworked. This is a feature I really think Minecraft needs in its base game. It lets you wear two sets of armor, one for purpose and function to offer protection and bonuses and stats, and one purely for vanity purposes for display. For an example, you could be physically wearing netherite but want the appearance of gold armor for its finish and its look. I can see how this could be dangerous or confusing in vanilla Minecraft though, although the mod lets you disable it for PvP specific circumstances for this very reason. You can also hide your armor for your skin in the mod if you want to show that off too. The mod seamlessly integrates itself into the inventory system to interact with it, so there's no silly menus you you have to go off into to use any of this mod's features. Create. Create is one of those groundbreaking mods that only comes every few years or so. It'd be a crime not to feature it in the top 100 Minecraft mods of all time list, and it's one of those recent mods that made its way onto this list, despite not being around for so many years, but it's still managed to build a good reputation already. Create, summed up, is a mod that adds blocks and tools to perform automation within the game, as well as offer appealing building options for decoration or aesthetic looking contraptions. Some of the things that you can make with the Create mod are truly magical. It gives that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory feeling of something truly spectacular. The mod, well, is truly amazing. The community have built so many amazing contraptions with Create, from working combine harvesters for their farmland, to working obstacle courses or parkour maps, factories, fully functioning Rubik's Cubes, and so much more. Just watch the Create mod trailer and you'll see exactly what this mod's all about. Alex's Mobs. I featured Mutant Creatures, so why not feature another animals mod? In fact, I'd even go so far as to say Alex's Mobs feels just like Mutant Creatures 2.0 to me. This is one of the most high quality mods that add wildlife and animals to Minecraft in the modern era of modding, introducing over 71 different new mobs and unique creatures. This mod brings both real world wildlife and also conceptual fantasy style creatures also. Now, the reason why I like this mod is all of the mobs have some kind of function or purpose in the world, making them genuinely useful and contribute in some way. Or if they don't have a purpose useful to the player, they have some kind of mechanic, function or trope that make them interesting to actually interact with. Many of the items dropped from creatures can be used to craft items like unique weaponry or arrows, potions or armor sets with special effects to them. I particularly like the Animal Dictionary. It's an interactive bestiary book that lets you cycle through the library of added creatures to view their appearance or general information about them. This mod seamlessly fits in with Minecraft's art style too, so it won't interfere with your sense of immersion when you're actually playing the game. Artifacts. Exploration has an added incentive with artifacts, as it adds some new rewards in the form of powerful wearable vanity items that come with some kind of bonus or buff with them when equipped. When you find yourself within vanilla structures where loot chests are present, there's a chance you may find one of these artifacts. This also includes the possibility to find them in the new underground campsite structure from the mod also. However, the chests in these campsites are sometimes actually dangerous mimics disguised as chests, so beware. However, these mimics will drop a random artifact when defeated. Each artifact in the mod boasts a unique model for their appearance, and they offer the player a positive effect when used. This includes everything from flippers and scuba gear that make you swim faster and breathe underwater, to even a leprechaun hat that gives you bonus to your look, and it makes you look pretty stylish wearing it too. Scape and Run Parasites. This horror-esque mod brings a parasitic infection to the game, implementing the hostile parasites that will take control of their host and turn them into monstrosities that are both scary and dangerous, learning from their fights and evolving into something even worse. Parasites can be found everywhere. They aren't tied down to a single biome, and they don't burn during the daytime, which makes them extra deadly in comparison to other hostile mobs we're used to. Parasites can call reinforcements upon death to help finish you off. These parasites, such as the Beacon, have different stages which will tell you how many and which type of parasites it will spawn, and they can infest nearby blocks and areas, infecting it with a parasitic infection, thus growing their numbers. If parasites learn from their battles, they may melt into moving flesh and meat to fuse together and grow into something greater. These parasites can infect most of the standard neutral mobs and animals, from cows and sheep to villagers. Nobody is safe with this mod. Dynamic trees. The trees in vanilla Minecraft, they look so nostalgic, but for a more dynamic and aesthetic appearance that looks far more natural, dynamic trees is the solution. Although it improves the shape and look of trees, they still fit very well into the game style. Trees are now multi-block structures within this mod, meaning they consist of multi-segmented pieces, being the roots and soil, their branches, and the leaves. A tree of course begins with a seed, and can be planted manually or in placed, and it has the chance of planting itself in a fitting area around it. As it progresses into into a sapling, it slowly begins to increase in size and density. Trees are chopped down at the base, which will now make the whole tree fall down. This is pretty satisfying if you want to be a lumberjack. These trees grow in natural ways, and they can grow around obstacles with separate growth rates, and they're affected by darkness. You can also climb the tree's branches just like ladders too. So if you climbed trees as a kid, well, I guess now you can do it in game. This mod is really good if you want trees to vary a little from each other and have a slightly different appearance. Mining gadgets. This mod is for people who want a different spin on the mining mechanic. Sure, extra pickaxes are super cool, but imagine using futuristic and modern tech to mine away ores and minerals from the earth. With this mod, you can create a mining laser to melt away blocks to mine much easier. But the thing that makes the mod unique and so fun is that you can upgrade the laser with many different utility upgrades that let you void items, pull them towards you with a gravity beam like effect, and so much more. Putting a ton of upgrades onto your laser just makes it so much easier to mine, and it lets you experiment with so many cool little features. This mod offers a change of pace when mining for long periods, and offers a multi-functioning modular laser system for some real fun. Now this is a true man's power tool. BuildCraft. Since I featured Industrial Craft 2, it was fitting to also feature BuildCraft, another of the greatest tech mods of all time. BuildCraft is a technology mod adding a ton of features. One main element is pipes. These pipes are used for many purposes, such as the transportation of items, fluids, and mechanical energy between inventories and machine systems. The many different pipe types in the mod have various functions, and they're available in the base materials, being wood, cobblestone, normal stone, sandstone, iron, gold, emerald, diamond, and also obsidian. These pipes can be combined with different ones to achieve the necessary setup, and also with pipe sealant to make fluid pipes for moving fluids and liquids, or with redstone for kinesis pipes for moving energy. BuildCraft boasts a series of functional machinery, one of these being the pump, which gathers surrounding liquids and can store them in storage tanks. The mining well digs directly down vertically until it hits bedrock, and it uses mining pipe and various tools to achieve this process. A much larger solution, the quarry, mines a much larger area, usually in a 9x9 zone that can be expanded all the way up to 64x64 blocks. Moved by engines, be it a redstone engine or a combustion engine using oil for an example, the quarry will first begin building out its frame and then begin strip mining. Using transport types which are linked from the machine itself to a chest, the quarry can then output all of its mined resources straight directly into storage. Sodium. If you're all about performance metrics, check out Sodium. This mod offers an entire rendering engine replacement for Minecraft, which will help improve frame rate and stutters and fix some graphical issues. The mod has great compatibility with Fabric mods too, meaning they will work pretty well together. Boasting a modern OpenGL based rendering system, the mod also features many graphical fixes for smooth lighting effects, which affect fluids and special blocks. There's also better smooth biome blending for blocks too, along with various performance charts and graphs and small changes to the F3 performance menu. You'll notice the video settings option has the greatest change with this mod. The UI has a dark and blocky interface now, many settings are simplified, and there's some additional ones thrown in there too. Origins. Origins is a mod that is based on many similar elements from RPG games. You start out by choosing an origin, which basically functions as a class. This will let you start out with a host of special abilities, some that are beneficial to you and some that hinder you in order to balance it out. The various origins do alter how the game is played, and makes a playthrough fresh and different to the previous. There's 9 origins in the base mod, as well as the human if you want the original experience. The 9 origins include the Enderian, which lets you teleport and have further reach, the Merling for underwater breathing, enhanced speed and sight, Phantom for phasing through blocks and being invisible, the Elytrian, granting you wings by default and a launch ability, Blazeborn, granting fire and poison immunity, the Avian, which gives you slow falling and speed increases, the Arachnid for spider-like climbing abilities and the use of cobwebs, the Shulk, which will give you 9 more inventory slots, enhanced protection, and breaking stone without a pickaxe, and Feline, which offers no fall damage, higher sprinting jumps, night vision, and the ability to scare away creepers. Origins can also be extended using mods, which add more origins to the base mod. This makes the mod more extendable and have a whole host of extra features if you get bored of the default classes. Enhanced visuals. This immersive mod is all about adding intensity through the use of on-screen visual effects which are displayed on the player's HUD interface. There's many different effects. For an example, an explosion will create dust and debris particles on the screen after a blast. Any damage incoming to the player will display a blood splatter overlay to indicate that you're hurt. Many of these effects can overlay in combination with one another. For an example, in the case that you would get hit by TNT, it would show both of these effects on screen. When you look at Enderman, expect a similar on-screen effect as when you first got spooked by Slenderman, a digitized effect which turns everything in view to static. When swimming below water, you'll also have splashes on screen in your vision. Being burnt by fire will showcase burn marks. Being in a desert for durations or within a snowy climate will show snow and sand splats on screen, depending which place you are. Potion splashes are also effects which display when throwing potions. This helps to make them seem more believable, and it makes magic effects far more enhanced. Dynamic surroundings. For enhancements to both visual and the audible experience in Minecraft, look no further. These elements are slightly lackluster in the original game, but this mod takes things up a level. When rain begins, the mod will create a storm intensity value that will modify what particle effects are used, how dark the sky is, the sound of the rainstorm, and what sounds and sound levels are played. These storms have a key effect upon the rainfall, snowfall, and the dust storms in deserts. These dust storms have different types of sand particles and a thickness of desert fog which shrouds your view. In polar biomes, the colder zones of the world, you may see the beautiful auroras, the aurora borealis phenomena. When climbing mountains, it will also get hazier, and rain intensity will increase and start to ramp up. Lava will give off fire jets which flick off from its source, spewing out fire particles. Oceans and lakes will alternatively give off bubble jets which are very similar water particles. Biomes now have specific biome sounds. Some of these are different during the day and night cycles, and you'll notice creatures here like the sound of crickets, the croaks of frogs, or varying birds, and also on beaches there will be sounds of waves clashing of the ocean. ViesCraft Airships. Everyone wants to explore, and flying is an amazingly fun and alternate way of doing that. You can construct your very own highly customizable airships with this mod, ones that can be upgraded and expanded through its modular enhancement system to improve both its look and also its function. Using fuel as a power to fly, you can change the colours and textural appearance of the airship parts, such as the balloons and their bodywork. There's 4 different stats and 4 different particle types, 2 types of unique frames, 3 engine looks, 5 balloon variations, and a collection of 65 frame skins and 10 balloon pattern types, not to mention the symbols for the appearance and the 9 unique airship modules which I mentioned slightly before. This mod is a really unique one. You could make airships out of blocks in past mods, but this one was really groundbreaking, mainly for the reason of it offering a more smoother feeling for the method of the flight. Terralith. This mod functions as a groundbreaking data pack which is packaged in the form of a fabric and forge mod, working its magic without adding any new kind of blocks, meaning what it generates can still be used in a vanilla client if you share your world or decide to play without mods. With 1.18 upgrading world gen, Terralith takes it up a notch by adding 85 brand new biomes and making both minor and major updates to every single vanilla biome in order to improve their features and their visual fidelity. It does this by adding floating islands, shattered biomes and canyons, or even deep ocean sea trenches. A few examples of the amazing type of natural occurrences that you may see here. Caves also have seen some love, as the underground has been blessed with some new cave biomes, different shapes to their interior and changes to their build-up by adding alternative stone types to their formation, with realistic biomes like Yellowstone, Shield and Highlands, or the more mythical style biomes like the Skylands, Moonlight Grove and Mirage Islands. There's something here for everyone, and it's a nice little upgrade that can be more vanilla friendly. Adventure Z. If you've downed all of the bosses on offer, I would recommend first this boss mod for adding some endgame bosses, as well as some more sinister foes. The deadly Blackstone Golem is summoned via a ritual using a special structure which needs to be built in a specific way. This boss is most likely one of the hardest that you've faced, and it will give you a true challenge. It also blends in with its environments pretty well, and this mod really fits into the 1.16 update. If you bully piglins or mine their precious nether gold ore, expect them to call some help by summoning the piglin beast. You don't want to mess with this guy. In the Soul Sand Valley, you may notice the Soul Reaper. It's a wither skeleton which is mounted on an equally deadly horse called Nightmare. Nether fortresses are now more mysterious, as necromancers are lurking within. This is also the same for the case of the Blaze Guardians, enhanced blazes which are based on those from the past Minecraft live mob vote. The Summoner Skeleton and Guard will spawn during the rare thunderstorms. They look super spooky at nighttime. You may also find the Eye within the Nether upon a special obelisk. If you defeat the Eye, which is a boss, you can reclaim the Ender Dragon's egg. This process will let you hatch the egg over 10 minutes, resulting in a tameable dragon, and if you feed it with raw meat or orc skin, it then grows to an additional stage which makes it rideable using a dragon saddle, and another one which lets you wear a chest upon it for some storage when flying. Epic Fight. The Minecraft combat system has seen some change and it was overhauled back in 1.8. However, it still is very basic and many prefer the old style of combat. If you're somewhat torn or you want to improve the fighting in the game, Epic Fight is perhaps the single best combat mod that you could play to make the game feel more like you're playing some kind of action RPG. This mod lets you experience various different combat styles in battle, and it doesn't just change the player, it changes many of the animations, the attacks and movement of the vanilla mobs, which also makes fighting them slightly different too. The mod functions by letting you alternate between its building mode and its combat system. This is toggled using the R key in game. There are basic attacks, dash attacks, dodging which can be done by both sliding and rolling, and special attacks for power. Many weapons, some being those added in the mod, and any which you download elsewhere which support the Epic Fight system's interface, now have new attributes and modifiers to their stats, such as armor negation or stun armor and impact, making certain weapons have unique purposes and applications. Many of these weapons also now have special types of attacks, which can be activated by filling the attack points gauge by dealing damage to an enemy, and then you can use a hotkey to perform a special. Many of the abilities are learnt via skill books. These include actions like rolling and more which must then be learnt by acquiring them as loot. Electro Blob's Wizardry. Not to be confused with the other wizardry mod, this mod boasts very few crafting recipes and less complexity. In fact, you progress throughout the mod via exploration and fighting. As you adventure, you will come upon spellbooks and scrolls and even wands. Wizards can be found in their towers and they will trade with you, letting you buy some rare magic items from them. Alternatively, you can also seek out ruins to look for powerful relics and artifacts. Your goal in the mod is to master the arcane and its elements, and collect every type of spell which is above the number of 170 plus which are available, all being entirely unique and special to one another. To begin learning the art of wizardry, you need to find a magical crystal. This can be mined or found. When crafted along with a book, the item will build into the wizard's handbook, which is your go-to guide on everything magic and then how to master it. Vic's Modern Warfare. Perhaps one of the best 3D gun mods of all time on Minecraft, the Modern Warfare mod adds a series of high quality 3D modelled guns, with handcrafted reload animations, muzzle flashes, and particle effects to make Minecraft have FPS style game systems. You can access an attachment system, which uses the attachments contained in your inventory to add them in a modular fashion onto the weapon, letting you cycle through sights and scopes, and add and change laser sights and grips which can be toggled. This is also the same for silencers and the ability to be able to change the skin livery of the gun itself. Certain weapons can have certain attachments on them and some cannot. There's selective fire mode on some weapons to switch from auto to semi-auto or single shot for an example, and magazines can be reloaded and unloaded or filled with ammo. Backpacks can be used for extra storage for the abundance of gear available through the mod, and the vest grants a level of protection to the player from ballistics damage. You can also use night vision with the night vision goggles. This lets you toggle it on or off. As for other weapons, there's not just range ones. You can use a series of nades such as frags and impact nades. There's also some melee weapons. These have both a light and a heavy attack, with the heavier being slower but dealing far more damage, and each of these animations are custom and different to one another. Tropicraft. Adding a beautiful tropical dimension that's beach themed, Tropicraft adds a series of tropical items, village types, and special gear pieces and fishing loot. loot. You'll find brand new mobs in the world, as well as many natural resources that are mineable. One nice thing is the addition of entirely custom music tracks, which come in the form of music discs which can be played on the jukebox. Underwater, in the crystal blue water, you'll find animals like narwhals or sea urchins, as everything is beautiful. With many custom biomes, it's time to make a drink and set up a deck chair and sit down in the sun. Just make sure to avoid those new tropical creeper variants, which might take you by surprise from behind. Techtopia. Techtopia is a revolutionary mod that brings an entire overhaul to NPC villages. Just like mods previously mentioned, like Millenaire and Mine Colonies, Techtopia expands the life of villagers by letting them be more productive and get more jobs done, allowing for a unique style of village to be witnessed. You can even build your own village and watch it grow in the mod, letting you see new villagers coming to inhabit it and work on its land, with farmers tilling the ground, lumberjacks chopping the trees, and more useful agents and workers like the guards who will protect the village. With a collection of more than 20 different professions and 18 unique structures which make your village more bustling, this mod is very unique. In a village, you can have up to 100 plus workers as they collect and build using products which they will gather. You can resell these products for emeralds to wandering merchants. Those that you use can be spent on expanding your village with new professions and structures. With children and male and female citizens, they'll go through an in-depth leveling system which evolves over time, affecting their education and training. To add more danger, the evil necromancer and his army will try to invade your new haven, so protect it at all costs. Replay mod. The replay mod lets you record and relive moments of gameplay, allowing you to share them later or use for editing. This mod is a super powerful tool which is amazing to create cinematic shots and trailers or get a different perspective. The mod is very unique in the sense that it has a built-in video creator which lets you cycle through the replay's frames and zoom in and out or pan the camera to the desired position, letting you record or take higher quality screenshots via the menu, which it will then output to the default screenshots folder. If you want the perfect clips, the replay mod is a must-have. It's a mod that I was stubborn for a long time to try to learn, but it's worth doing so. You can create some really impressive camera paths for an impressive look. Pam's Harvest Craft. Harvest Craft is a mod for the purpose of making the player eat more variations of food, balancing the food restoration system, and offering a lot more in terms of the content for food and farming. This mod brings 80 brand new crops, such as cotton, which can be made into string, 6 garden bushes which you can find to harvest crops, over 50 different special trees that bear luscious fruit or similar items, 90 new fish types which can be caught, a simple beekeeping system utilizing various honey and wax resources, and a collection of over 1400 new items and food. Many of the vanilla foods are rebalanced in Harvest Craft, and there's nice little features like a well block which makes infinite water sources just more immersive looking. There's a market block where you can buy seeds and saplings or bone meal and spawn eggs for the farm animals that you need. There's a shipping block for selling crops, meats, fish, and beekeeping items, and so many more awesome features to run a farm or some kind of food production unit. Minecraft comes alive. Minecraft villagers, love them or hate them. They're not amazingly interesting. Minecraft Comes Alive is all about taking those villagers and then replacing them entirely with more visually appealing humans of various races and looks, with better interactions and dialogue options, as well as possibilities such as marriage and their ability to have babies, for an example. Using over 250 unique and custom skins for the various male and female villagers, you can chat to them and offer them work by hiring them or give them gifts of affection. Talking to them will raise your reputation to improve your relationship with them, letting you marry them or be more familiar. You can then have children, or the villagers can themselves. This system lets the children grow up over time and become an adult who can have lives of their own. This mod also works for those who want to roleplay and marry other players and have children, or have a more realistic village system that's more complex and interactive, especially in the earlier versions of Minecraft where village systems are even more simple. Morph. The Morph mod lets you take on the role of a shapeshifter, assuming the shape and the abilities of the different mobs that you'll encounter when playing the game. This works in a way that you will gain their appearance by absorbing the essence of any mob that you defeat, adding to your collection of skins or looks, so to speak. You can become practically any mob in the game here, supporting many custom creatures and mobs from other mods too. Using the menu to cycle through your preferred appearance, you can then transform into that entity. Most morphs don't really really provide too much, although some may have some benefits or drawbacks, such as the zombie, which is mostly only playable during the night, as you will burn in the day of course. Well, now we know how those monsters that burn in the daylight feel. Epic Siege Mod. Mobs and monsters at nighttime are perhaps the biggest threat and danger posed to you as the player, especially when you're simply just starting out. With the Epic Siege mod though, all mobs are now increasingly more dangerous and pose a much greater threat than previously was the case. These mobs almost have a thirst for wiping you out. They'll go to extreme lengths to make sure you don't survive, and in some ways, it's even somewhat unfair and also kind of creepy. The awareness radius is now much different. Creepers can breach through walls and barricades, and they're even pre-primed, meaning they'll detonate immediately and then spread napalm fire around them, and if that wasn't scary enough, there are even creeper jockeys. Beds won't change the time of day, so there's no escaping the night in this circumstance. Skeletons, if not already annoying, now also have sniper-like precision and accuracy. Endermen don't just teleport towards you in this mod, they teleport you towards them. When a zombie defeats a player, that player will turn into an infected mob that will rise after they die. These mobs will wipe villagers and their villagers out just as quickly, making raids from pillagers not their only concern. Zombies will dig down and pillar up to you, making base design crucial, hence why a sky base might be on the cards here, especially since spiders not only climb but they web their targets to the ground, and all of the mobs will evade attacks where possible and swim, so good luck with hiding away underwater, because that's just not possible anymore. Better portals. Entering a nether portal for the first time is absolutely awesome, and it feels all the more nostalgic and magical jumping straight into the end too. But what if the portals didn't shroud what was on the other side? What if these portals perfectly blended both worlds together, acting as simply a rift that lets you see exactly what was on the other side, and better yet, offered a way to skip those annoying loading screens? Well, this mod does exactly that. It makes transitioning through portals when traveling so immersive, and better yet, it also works for the portals of various mods, like those of the dimensions from ViesCraft, the Aether, and also the Twilight Forest. Archimedes Ships. Using this mod, you can create large ships that are entirely self-designed and made out of building blocks, which you can use to sail the sea on. The nice utility of the mod is that it supports airships to soar through the skies with too. Using a ship's helm attached to any structure that you deem to be ship-worthy, you can turn it into a sailable structure. You can use gauges to keep an eye on the velocity and the direction that you are facing. This mod was extremely revolutionary for its time, and it allowed for way more creativity for movable vehicles, which had always been mostly linear in scope and shape for the longest time before it. This mod is absolutely amazing, and there's so much potential in what you can create and develop using it. Those huge pirate ships that you build on your server, well, you can now make them actually functional. Orespawn. Orespawn, also sometimes referred to as the Minecraft Girlfriend mod, is actually much larger in scope and mostly a prank or fun mod that has a boatload of genuinely fun features beyond this and good content in it. This mod features 12 different dimensions such as the Dragon's Lair, Chaos, Doom, and Utopia. There are also many different bosses who spawn in the different dimensions, bosses that have very interesting looks and appearances to them. These bosses spawn in the different dimensions with different abilities, some being crazy and unfair in their own right. There's a ton of armor sets in Orespawn, most that look like recolors of the vanilla armors, which are sourced from the new ores or from bosses, with one being a suit jacket to impress the ladies. Weapons include everything from long-range rifles and bows to both large and smaller swords. Doggy Talents. I added this one for all you pet lovers out there. It would be a crime not to, right? Minecraft's pets are so cute and charming, but extending the pet system is a really nice addition. Doggy Talents bring 19 unique talents that you can give your dog and a leveling system for progression. You can play fetch with your dog, use more fancy collars and dye the standard ones, and care for your pet with new types of beds and bowls for food when feeding them. You can also track your pet's location with radio collars for radar. The wolf's AI is used but upgraded slightly for better behavior. The dog won't die anymore unnecessarily thanks to the new hunger system. You can also command your dog using a whistle, and there's many different items like this that you can experiment with to make the pet system just generally far better than you're used to it being. Mobs. This mod makes everything far more realistic. Now, what I mean by that is the mobs and the characters, including the player, are now enhanced in the way that they move around and how their animations look visually. There are many clear improvements to many of the creatures here that are just more immersive. For an example, spiders now have bended legs and they'll appear to creep around and they can climb around on walls. Dogs are much cuter with their tail wagging when moving or sitting. The player also has seen an overhaul too. This can be seen when jumping, when slashing a weapon, walking around and when running, climbing ladders or climbable objects, when you punch and strike, and when you're in creative mode flying, for an example. And also don't forget when you're sneaking around too. Zombies now look more hunched over and more like their animated bodies, and skeletons have some improvements also if you want to check those out. Sword trails and the trails of arrows have been added to simulate more motion to the projectiles and make it seem like there's more impact when you swing melee weapons. Draconic Evolution. Draconic Evolution enhances Minecraft for players who've tackled the end game and they want some more progression. It does this by adding many higher tier gear to the game in the forms of tools, armor and weaponry, including some higher tier energy storage options. There's also a collection of additional features, including mob farming through both spawning and killing, player detection, the control of time and weather, teleportation, high tier energy storage through RF energy, and new powerful armor and tools. Armor and tools work differently through a modular item system, making most of the actual base items fairly weak, and this means that they need to be upgraded through the upgrade modules to actually improve them, needing energy storage modules with higher tier items allowing for more modules to be used. Draconium ore is a new resource. This generates in the overworld, the nether, and also the end, where it's seen in more abundance. This is the new requirement, which is the main one for much of the gear in the mod, with Wyvern gear being the first tier, and you can also work up to the second, which is the most powerful one, being Draconic gear. Chocolate Quest Report. A redesign of the original Chocolate Quest dungeon mod. This mod has the purpose of generating large-scale dungeons around the world. This includes castles, volcanoes with monsters and loot inside, and nether cities. Due to the sheer size and the scope of the mod's actual features, it's a little different to many of the other standard dungeon mods you're used to, especially due to it using custom mobs and loot rather than the vanilla ones which most try to do. You can also use recipes to generate custom dungeons in the mod from scratch. These dungeons are more interesting in the mod because the bosses which are actually inside of some of them are just extremely interesting and unique, and they have really nice appearances and models because they're entirely custom. Pirates can be found on pirate ships upon the seas, on their treasure islands, or in the skies in skyships. This mod has so many mysteries and unique content to explore, and it just fleshes out the overworld a lot more. It's really great for an RPG style experience, and I would really recommend it. World Edit. World Edit is the ultimate builder's companion. There's a utility that can do so many different things, and one that many server owners will know of the plugin version, which really helps greatly. From generating cool shapes such as spheres and cubes, to copy and pasting mobs and entities, or the selection of blocks or structures, and saving your builds as exportable schematic files. You can also fill or drain liquids from pools or from the sea, generate trees to create large forests, use brushes to carve out areas, and so many more options that means that World Edit has so many cool features. Personally, I mainly found it super helpful to select areas and then change those blocks in the selection to a different block and create walls or floors extremely fast. This was a tool that I would always use when creating a spawn for my servers to just save a ton of time. This let me open up my old servers rather quickly, and it was a great utility my friends and I use just to build quickly and save a ton of effort. Lost Cities. This mod will bring custom generation into the game by offering many different customizable types of cities that spawn in the overworld. You can populate the world with abandoned cities that spawn using the custom world type. These are partially destroyed cities that include highways, bridges, subway systems, tunnels, and even dungeons with spawners within. There are many different presets that you can switch to that will change how the generator spawns the structures, and it offers a different series of buildings and formations of them, making each spawn different depending which you choose to use. This is a really nice generator to build a quick city or to generate one fitting for zombie survival or some kind of apocalypse, because it really does give that the type of look. Call to Battle 2. I would go so far as to say this mod is the ultimate classical war simulator, offering a slightly more realistic experience through the implementation of specialized combat mechanics and detailed models and textures. The idea of Call to Battle 2 is to introduce realistic gunplay and shooting systems, which support the number of weapons, which is around 50 or so, ones that use damage, which is based upon the caliber of the weapon and the hitbox that you actually strike the player with it, with specialized melee attacks, as well as a system that supports both cover when crouching and going prone. If the gun actually supports it, you can then utilize a series of different attachments, which include scopes, bayonets, and bipods. Scopes in this mod only aim in with the actual scope itself, rather than the whole screen with some kind of overlay like most shooters do. This lets you switch and use iron sights at the same time, if you wish. Large machine guns can be in place strategically with a bipod to mount it up, and rockets, depending on their size and which is used, may penetrate a wall before they explode. Flamethrowers also burst up into flames before they strike blocks. As for game modes, there's Assault, which is about pushing enemy territory and then securing it, Engagement, which is territory control, and Base Defense, and Warzone, which is about capture points and holding captured points for your team. If explosions damage a building's foundry or its supports, it will also bring it crashing down, which kind of feels like the whole physics-based system which you'll see on the Battlefield games. Rollercoaster Mod. For some theme park fun in Minecraft, check this one out. If you love classical games like Rollercoaster Tycoon or the newer Planet Coaster game, this mod will offer that kind of feeling. It's about everything roller coasters, and it lets you construct awesome looking roller coaster designs that look way more impressive than the vanilla ones if you are building with normal minecart rails. Using a variety of different track elements to extend its modular based system, this mod lets you create rideable coasters with wagons that function the exact same as the standard minecarts, letting you make a really impressive and realistic looking theme park with various rides on it. Conquest Reforged. This mod is the absolute dream for builders of all types, especially those specializing in the fantasy medieval subcategory. Pairing perfectly with the Conquest resource pack and being its spiritual successor, this mod is the answer for Minecraft builders who are looking to take their building to the next level to make amazing creations of spectacular scale. The mod features hundreds of 32x textures with a semi-realistic look to them, supported by Optifine, which is a must-have when running this mod. The mod takes inspiration from many multiple historical ages and settings, with a total of north of 12,000 or more blocks, with many of them being added regularly. Some of these feature custom 3D models for their shapes and looks, with custom particle effects and animations. To build with this mod, there's a block selection wheel as part of the GUI. This lets you select the blocks and their subtypes to build with and select what you need to use. This is a really awesome system because it doesn't just add blocks, but it also adds interfaces which lets you build in a better fashion. Rope Bridge. If you have a large gap between two peaks that you need to traverse across, this mod will provide a dynamic solution to such a problem. You can use a special gun to shoot out a buildable bridge to connect two different gaps together. There's also the same for ladders, which builds ladders together, both using a simple point and shoot based system with real-time building animations. The bridge consisting of custom bridge quarter slab blocks. The bridge can detect any blocks which stand in its way. Of course, each of these utilities need to be crafted. You simply fire each gadget just like as you would with a normal bow, allowing you to aim in and fire where you wish it to be placed. The bridge will not construct if the area is too steep, if it's blocked, or if the materials required for its construction are not being carried by the player. Quark. How can you describe Quark? It's a little bit of everything. A modular mod that has the original aim of generally upgrading vanilla Minecraft, but it does this through so many ways, from automation to building, mobs and entity changes and additions, tools and tweaks, and just changes to the world itself. Dispensers can now emplace blocks in the world and they're placed away from the dispenser. Nearby animals can be automatically fed using a feeding trough, which will also let them breed. Pistons can now also move tile-based entities around or out of the way. This includes blocks like chests and furnaces. Using F12, there's a new camera mode that lets you use up to 20 image filters to take improved screenshots with optional borders and overlays, letting you use a guide with grid lines or the rule of thirds to take much better pictures. Chests now have a search bar that lets you filter exactly what you're looking looking for, a feature very useful for huge or just filled containers. Tooltips have more visual elements that improve what they display. This shows attributes which are accompanied by icons, which show how much food heals you or how much armor and protection gear gives you, for an example. Boats now have chests which will let you replace the passenger seat with a chest for some portable loot, a feature that future Minecraft will be adding. Chests also have simple transfer options to insert or take away their filled contents. Inventories also have a sort button to quickly sort items which are based on their attributes. Items can also be interacted with via Shift and T, which lets you share their item information in the chat box, just as you would in an MMORPG game just like World of Warcraft. Then there's a really nice collection of different animals and aggressive mobs in both realistic or fantasy RPG style that will litter the world. Biome Bundle. Biome Bundle serves as a world pack which extends the open terrain generator mod, adding a huge collection of biomes totaling over 400 different additions, boasting over 2,000 custom structures. This of course includes the custom trees, the rocks, caves, dungeons, villages, and similar ornamental points of interest witnessed throughout. The mod introduces custom biomes and terrain across the world, with ruins and many different mobs which spawn with custom spawn rules which are based upon the location. There's some extremely beautiful biomes in this mod, all based off of naturally occurring geographical locations or the type of terrain that you would expect from planet Earth. I would argue that it's one of the more extensive and impressive looking biome mods, especially due to its OTG support, which is a completely custom terrain generator, far more advanced than Vanilla's. You will see many different forests of various coloured trees, amazing rolling hills and breathtaking mountains, luscious jungles, hot dry deserts and fields of ice, gigantic lakes and mesas, and immense open cave systems. This is a true exploration mod if I've ever seen one. Physics Mod. Purely groundbreaking and game-changing, this mod makes changes to both the blocks and the entities to overhaul the systems in Minecraft, and it introduces a fully fledged physics engine into the game, making changes to many core fundamentals of the game and their aspects. For an example, breaking or mining away blocks will make them break apart or crumble, which is very satisfying when breaking apart stone or ore blocks. This is also something which makes caves and blocks fall and collapse when the supporting blocks below them are destroyed, making them come crashing down to the ground. They will also shatter into pieces which scatter when they're hit by an explosion from some kind of projectile or prime TNT. Items also can be thrown forwards and they fall flat on the ground, instead of just floating in stasis like they do normally. You can then pick these up from the floor. The ragdoll system makes mobs flail and fall to the ground in a more loose fashion rather than just disappearing. You can also change this so mobs break apart just like blocks, and change which mobs break and which ragdoll. This is great to make skeletons' bones shatter into pieces and creepers ragdoll. Many of the systems in this mod can be changed from the menu, as it has very customizable options in its configuration. Capes will also drape behind the player and they have realistic movement, making them appear to actually be made of a material. This is of course the same for various other cloth pieces like banners. Vines on trees and those underwater will brush to the side when collided with the player, making for some really nice aquatic swimming. There's also water physics too, which make the water have more realistic movement and viscosity to it. The snow physics also makes snow more rounded, which looks great as biome edges blend together really well. This also makes players and entities like wolves leave footprints in the snow as they walk across through it. Biospheres. The Biospheres mod is a world generation mod that allows you to generate worlds that comprise of large-scale spheres which are made of glass, which are domes housing flora and mini biomes inside of them, simulating biospheres. Lakes can also spawn within a sphere in its center, sometimes being lava and sometimes water. This is usually surrounded by either gravel or sand. Each of these spheres is connected by a long narrow wooden bridge which borders itself with fences to stop you from falling out of the world. There's both small and large spheres, with some mini spheres which float in stasis close by outside, which have ores like diamonds or lapis lazuli on them. The only place that you'll actually find such valuable resources in this world generator. The mod uses a modified version of the classic nether cave generator, meaning lava will generate below a certain level, and obsidian generates to hold it within if it reaches outside. The biomes supported by the biosphere system in the mod include the tundra, plains, forest, woods, mountains, jungle, the nether, and the end, and structures including villages or strongholds simply cannot exist or even spawn in this mod's generator. Mr. Crayfish's vehicle mod. For modern and high quality vehicles, this mod is really the best solution for useful and fun cars. There's a fairly impressive collection of vehicles available that are multi-purpose or provide some kind of utility to them, with them being fully customizable as it lets you change the different components that they use. This includes their engines and wheels, different pieces that actually affect the performance of the vehicle itself and how it drives on certain surfaces. You can use sprays to modify the colour and the livery of the vehicle itself, using a combination of a series of dyes. To power the vehicle, you have to produce fuel through the fuel production system within the mod. There's a collection of up to 20 different powered vehicles and trailers, and the mod and its aspects have a fair deal of customizability. Personally, I'm a big fan of the tractor vehicle, which just looks great on a farm, and it actually has a real application, making it genuinely helpful. Custom NPCs. This mod lets you liven up your in-game worlds and make them feel more populated by inhabiting them with custom characters, which can be in place to create new adventures or flesh out both cities and towns with interactable NPCs, with tools available that lets you customize them extensively to modify their skins, AI behavior sets, and modify their health and strength values. You can change the factions, roles or jobs, the dialogues to customize what they say in their speech when interacted with, and even implement quests or objectives through a quest system. The modifications are done through an interactive GUI with buttons to cycle through the settings which you wish to change. There's also a series of NPC models such as humans, males and females, furries, elves, dwarves, monsters and Naga to name a few, each with many custom skins and support for personal skins also. There's a pathing system and creating new NPCs is fairly simple. This is definitely a great mod for an RPG experience or for mod packs which have some kind of story driven aspect to them. Better than Wolves. Serving as a total conversion mod for Minecraft 1.5.2, Better Than Wolves was somewhat of a mix between tech and visual appeal. This mod implemented many interesting ideas and contraptions into Minecraft that simply hadn't been done before at the time. The mod makes changes to many of the original survival mechanics of Minecraft to balance the game, such as making sand's movement speed slower and speeding it up on stone, and making buckets being unable to transport water source blocks or lava source blocks. The mod adds mechanical power through a series of systems, such as through water wheels, windmills, gearboxes, redstone clutches, axles, and various similar devices which are used alongside redstone power. There's a lot of potential in creativity with this mod. The mod is based upon an aegis system that is how the progression is structured, condensed into different technological tiers for the player to achieve in stages. With mechanical systems like pulleys and platforms, lifts, and more, this mod was just really impressive for its time. Thormcraft. Thormcraft is all about magic and the work of miracles as a magician practicing thaumaturgy. You are a worker of miracles in this mod, as you use raw magic from physical objects in the world and reshape their energy. Using a craftable wand, the first being the iron-capped wooden wand, you can interact with a bookshelf to obtain the Thaumonomicon item to learn about what you can do. The manual will show you explanations to many of the magical references and terms in the mod, and you can access the skill tree for the mod's progression. Research is at the core of Thormcraft, and researching different blocks and items to gain knowledge on them, and then creating spells and utilizing alchemical processes is important as you create new items and even create golem constructs to guard you and your base. Along with some brand new armor sets, interesting new mobs which include both friendly or neutral and hostile enemies, there's a lot of content in Thormcraft which makes it a top magic mod. Immersive Engineering. Immersive Engineering is an extensive technology mod which is based upon and inspired by more realistic tech. For an example, where many mods have glowing red tubes or machines that almost look like they're from a science fiction film, this mod has hanging power lines and more modernistic pieces. The machines are mostly multi-block structures, created from multiple segments to produce the main block that processes everything. For an example, the ore crusher that rotates wheels and breaks down the ore. The excavator multi-block machine digs ore from the ground below it with a bucket wheel that rotates. This machine is a very resource intensive one, however. Immersive Engineering is one of the more visually appealing tech mods that make your factory seem slightly more realistic, as the machines don't appear as just singular blocks, but more so real machinery with complex geometry and models. Power generation is performed through a series of different processes, from using windmills and water wheels to biodiesel production. Using forge energy and redstone flux power, aka FE and RF power, this mod uses a range of different voltages, ranging from high to low and medium. This mod gives a very industrial and rustic look, perfect for steampunk-esque building. The engineer's manual is the crucial item you should obtain by crafting a book and a lever together. This will provide both instructions and recipes for the majority of the mod's content. And that concludes this video of the top 100 Minecraft mods of all time. All of these mods were simply amazing, and I'm so happy that we managed to feature the best mods which Minecraft's community has come up with so far. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to make sure you're part of the channel before we reach 100,000 subscribers. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram at thebluecrusader for more exclusive updates before videos even drop, and for some behind the scenes looks on how these videos are made. And comment down below your favourite mod from this top 100 mods video to show me that you reached the end of the video, and so I know why you like that particular mod. Also comment below any of your favourite Minecraft mods which you think deserved a place on this list but unfortunately didn't make the cut. Thanks for watching.